About 32 F-22 Raptor jets are not combat capable. It would be too expensive to bother making them combat ready. The Air Force wants to give nearly 3 dozen F-22 Raptors an early retirement in order to reallocate budget dollars toward the stealth fighter's future replacement. Per its 2024 budget request, the Raptors are early models that are not even capable of combat, and the Air Force argues it would be too expensive to bother making them combat ready. If Congress allows it, the service will mothball 32 F-22 jets that are less than 30 years old. Those planes cost the Air Force $485 million a year to operate, or about $15 million a year each. What's more, the planes are early model production jets known as Block 20 jets that were built as training aircraft and are not actually combat capable. The F-22 Raptor was developed in the late 1980 and early 1990 as a replacement for the F-15 Eagle. The F-22 was the world's first fifth-generation fighter jet, built from the ground up with stealth as a key feature. The Air Force originally planned to build 750 F-22, but the end of the Cold War left the service without an adversary air force to contend with. The U.S. government continued to slash the number of F-22 in 2008, squeezed by a global financial crisis and wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. It made the decision to end production at 187 operational planes. The Air Force may have ended up with 187 Raptors, but that doesn't mean it ended up with 187 fighting Raptors. The service always intended to build a significant number of F-22 to a less complex Block 20 standard training planes that were incapable of real-world air combat. Unfortunately, as the number of Raptors was cut by more than half, the Block 20 jets made up a larger number of the overall fleet than originally intended. Although the Air Force received 187 Raptors, 74 were built to the Block 10 and 20 standard and capable of combat, while 112 are so-called Block 30 and Block 35 combat-coded jets, fully combat-ready. In the last 15 years, the world has grown more complicated. Relations with both China and Russia have deteriorated, while at the same time, both countries have developed fifth-generation fighters to compete with the F-22. China alone has 200 Chengdu J-20 fighter jets, with another fifth-generation jet, the J-31, on the way. In response, the Air Force is developing a replacement for the F-22, Next Generation Air Dominance, NGAD, a sixth-generation fighter that should enter service in the late 2020. The Air Force would rather retire jets that can't fight, rolling that $485 million into developing the F-22 successor. NGAD will be extremely expensive, with the Air Force admitting each fighter will cost hundreds of millions of dollars. The Air Force also wants at least 200 NGADs. Congress has other ideas. In 2023, the House Armed Services Committee wanted the Air Force to upgrade those 32 Block 20 jets to a combat-coded standard, something the Air Force says would cost $1 billion. That didn't happen, but the Air Force wasn't able to get rid of the planes either. Now, it's once again pressing its case to get rid of planes. It probably doesn't make much sense to spend $1 billion to make 32 jets combat-ready, just to retire them within 5 or 6 years. In an ideal world, the Air Force could afford to both upgrade its F-22 and develop the NGAD fighter jet. But in the real world, the service must make hard decisions. Thanks for watching.